Sounds like a lot of burden to me. Sounds like a lot of pain. Sounds like a lot of self-inflicted, I don't know. It's confusing. Is that what faith's all about? So that you're in a constant state of flux, constant state of worry, constant state of what do I gotta do next? I gotta read the Bible. I gotta get to church. I gotta sit here. I gotta be involved in this. I gotta return the favor. I have to do this. Do you remember when they did that? I mean, everything is, well, shame-based. Everything is fear-oriented. I don't want to live that way. I refuse. I put my foot down today and say no to rules and yes to relationship. No more rules. I live by relationship now. I live in the freedom of what Jesus did for me once and for all. For everything. It's no more, wow, I'm a Christian, but you know, you shouldn't have raped those people, or you shouldn't have killed that person, or you shouldn't have stolen that thing. But he went to jail. But you don't know what his past is. I mean, who gave out the filter? Who gave out the title of filtering? I mean, we put on this facade with our Sunday best clothes, and we go in there and we hang out with people we really don't know. And we think because we're friendly to them for an hour or 2 or 12 minutes after service before we're darting to our cars because our stomachs are growling and we're hungry and we want to get first in line. Does that sound familiar? But doing all that, engaging in impatience, just trying to get out of the parking lot of the church that you love so much because you're a Christian? Those same Christians are scared of the wrath. They're scared of God. They're scared of hell. They're scared, scared, scared. I don't see that in Jesus. So when he changed Saul's name to Paul or Simon to Peter, did he say Christian? Why did he introduce that in those 3.5 years of ministry? Why didn't he introduce that when he came back? Why didn't he say, now I'm not going to call you servants anymore. Now you're Christians instead of friends. Look, I don't want to be a Christian. I want to be a believer. I want to be a follower of the way, just like the guys were and the women were in the first century, in those first 40, 50 years, that there wasn't some book that we had to idolize, or some church that we had to worship in, or some priest or preacher that we had to put up higher than us on a pedestal and rely on. I mean, there are churches that fall apart because their pastor or preacher leaves. And yet, the study that's going around now, the Barna study, that shows that last year alone, 1,300 preachers were fired a week. 1,700 quit a week. That's 3,000 less every week. And people are leaving the church by the thousands every day. And then families, preacher families, are just suffering. Is that the call? Is that their burden? Divorce? Inappropriate behavior? That's their blessing for making a commitment? I mean, what's going on? Don't you ever ask yourself, maybe there's more to this? Maybe I'm settling? Maybe it's not as good as it's ever going to be? I mean, there's a dozen cliches, if not 100, that we bought in on. Romans 5 talks about being transformed, or Romans 12, excuse me, talks about being transformed. Somewhere in Romans, it talks about being transformed. And in that transformation, you don't conform. But what about being rehabbed, or changed, or converted? What about those words? I mean, we can't even use the word transformed anymore with any deliberate purpose, with any conviction. Instead, I'm converted to this, I'm converted to that. I've been rehabbed. You know, all those things are exercises. All those things are something that I'm doing. But to be transformed, that means that I have to accept something that really is involuntary and impossible to do by myself. And then I have to voluntarily work on it, as far as live it, give it away. That's the life I choose. I choose to want to be transformed in all things. I choose not to be the person I was before, because I've been transformed into the person I am today. And I couldn't do that, and I can't do that continually on my own. And it's not because I'm part of some group. I believe that there's a lot of anger out there. And we as Christians distract and divert that anger towards the gay people, towards the abortion people, towards the pro this and the anti that. And at the end of the day, we're the anti. We're anti everything. That's what Jesus wanted. That's what he modeled. I mean, is that as good as it gets? Is that all there is to it? I mean, over the last week or so, Notre Dame, which I've loved dearly. I mean, I've admired that university for as long as I can remember. I always wanted to go there and play ball. I mean, it's just tradition, something I never really had personally. Tradition. And now it's all being squandered or thrown away or devalued over an invitation. And I understand. I don't remember, and I haven't heard of any higher level, higher education institutions inviting President Bush to speak. I guess he's not he's not in vogue anymore. He hasn't been in vogue for a few years, I guess. But surely, don't we have something better to do than to ostracize a university? To devalue someone else's opinion? I mean, why is this news? Why is it even an issue? Again, Christian? What? The president's not Christian? What are we talking about here? He doesn't fit in some specific box. He can't be defined by a sentence. And so we have to, oh well, you can't hang out where we're at. What we're doing. Is that what the label Christian means? Is that what it's given us? The power to do? To label others? Oh, I'd love on that person if. But, the old powerful but. So today, I tell you, I publicly announced that I'm no longer a Christian. And I'm proud of that. And I'm free in that. My prayer will be that you too will also yield to your Father in heaven. And let him speak truth into you. Let him speak love into you. Let him fill you with his love. Unconditionally. So that you too can experience the freedom in Christ that is Jesus. Period. Because it is that simple. We've just made it complicated. I love you guys. I love all of you. Grace and peace. Jason at beallnow.net.